This season of Project X is brought to you by SBT, the largest supplier of high-quality jet ski parts in the world.
Hey Project X fans, thanks for watching again. Hey look, we're in the home stretch. We're all pretty excited about what's going to be coming next with this ski. You've seen I've already got the engine installed. My friend Brian helped him get the impeller and the bearings and the housing all situated, and everything inside my hull is all reassembled. We've got new cables, we've got new engine mounts, we've got all of that handled, what actually makes this tick. Now it's time to focus on making it pretty. And one of the things that we're going to be doing, and we'll sneak peek, we're going to be wrapping this, which we'll show a little bit later on when I got some friends of mine coming to help us do this. But before I do that, there are some things I need to do to the hull to kind of get it ready to help them out a little bit. And one of those things is we've got new mats coming, but I got to take these off before I can wrap it. And I got to get this hull a little bit cleaned up too so that it can accept the wrap really, really well. So one of the things that people ask is how do you get these mats off? And if you go online, you're going to see a host of videos. I'll kind of talk about a little bit of things that I have found that work best for what I am doing with this ski. Now these have been replaced at one point. You would think that'd be making it a lot easier to remove. It's actually not the case. These ones are a little bit more difficult to remove than the factory ones that came on here. So some videos you're gonna see that they're able to kind of work this and peel it off in one big piece. And if that's your case, you're lucky. However, if you're dealing with one that's been replaced already, the adhesive on these might be better than the original. And that's the case what we're dealing with here. So this one isn't coming up in pieces and leaving an adhesive down here. What it's doing up is coming in pieces, period, and then still leaving the adhesive. So you're gonna see online, you might see some people using some different techniques on there. I've seen the use of this is MAP or propane and heating it up that way. I'm gonna caution you on that one. That one's a little scary, even if you do have it on low heat and you've done it before. It might not be the safest or the best. It also might actually cause damage to the paint underneath, depending on how old the ski is or anything like that. I know you're gonna say, hey, I'm just covering it up with mats again anyways. That's kind of up to you. I personally don't use the mat when I'm removing these. Personally, what I have found so far the best way to do it, and this is time consuming, be patient, take your time. There's nothing else I can tell you on that. I haven't found no trick, easy method to do it. And again, you're gonna see some people maybe using what they call like a pinstripe removal tool, almost like an eraser on a drill. The only problem with that is you're getting flakes flying everywhere, and then it just creates a big mess as well. So what I'm going to show you real quick is just one of the methods that I've been using. And again, there is no quickness to this. It's a matter of taking your time and be patient, and if not, you could end up causing more damage to the ski. And also make sure you're using something plastic when you're trying to remove the adhesive or the mat. I have a plastic scraper that I use. The problem with the metal one that you could face is if you grab a metal one and you're trying to work it underneath here, it might get it up a little bit, but again, you might also remove some of the paint down there and put a gouge in there. I know, I'm covering a Pecco with mats anyways, it doesn't matter. It's your preference. Personally, I just use a plastic one. It kind of keeps the things from getting scratched. If you are gonna use this, maybe take some masking tape over here. Every tech that's been out there and anybody who's ever done anything, you know you're liable to slip a little bit and you could create a gouge in an unwanted area, especially if you're not wrapping it like we are. So we're gonna go ahead and start showing a little bit of the method that I use to get this going. Again, once you see it going, you're gonna understand this is what I'm gonna do for the entire ski, and you'll be able to do that at home. So I'm gonna start showing a little bit, and I'll even talk a little bit about the adhesive remover and one of the products that I have found that works really well with getting that done. So I'm using a heat gun. I'm not using a propane or a MAP torch. And like I said, this one has already proved to be a little bit of a more difficult removal on these mats. So you see I'm not heating up the entire mat. That's quite a bit to try and heat up. So far I'm just kind of focusing on about a 6-inch area. And unfortunately, once I get that warmed up, I'll only be able to remove some chunks of it, and that'll leave the adhesive. Gloves are a good idea. Even latex ones are a little bit better because it does get a little warm. But you'll see I'm really getting only a little bit. It's not all going to come up in one big piece on these for this removal. Hey, if yours comes up in one big piece, you're lucky. Then you only have to deal with the adhesive. But you're going to see I have to do this in pieces and then still deal with the adhesive on top of it. One other tech tip I'll teach you real quick that I learned a long time ago is anytime you can actually peel it like this, I'm removing a lot more of the adhesive. I'd rather peel as much as I possibly can before I get this involved. Once I get this involved, that'll typically separate the adhesive from the backing and leave more adhesive on the hull. Anytime I can remove and actually peel it, a lot more of the adhesive comes up. As you can see in this area where I was able to peel a lot of it, I have very little adhesive left. And up here where I was kind of ripping it and it was kind of coming apart a little bit, especially when I was trying to get the mat going, there's a lot more adhesive up here left to the hull. So anytime you can kind of peel it without the aid of any tools, you're going to leave a lot less residue. So obviously we're not going to go through the entire process of removing the mats and showing you that whole process because it's going to be, I don't think you'd want to sit here for 2 or 3 hours watching the entire process of me removing the mats. But I will tell you one last thing before we move on, is how to get the adhesive off and what product that I have found personally that works best for me. The product that I've been using that has been really helping out is some adhesive remover, some Pro Strength Goof Off. This stuff really seems to be a wonderful product to use, and I like to get a little bit on there and just, I'll spray the adhesive residue that's left. I found this stuff does not damage the paint, so I let that soak for a little while. And if you can let that sit for a couple minutes and let it work, the more it's going to do for you. That stuff does work great. I would not recommend using brake cleaner. I've seen some people who like to use brake cleaner. Now, brake cleaner will remove residue. The other problem with brake cleaner is that it could also remove paint. So be careful using brake cleaner. I have seen some other videos out there where they were using this. Just take caution with that. Sometimes the brake cleaner can be a little rough on the paint. And the actual Goof Off, the product that I've been using, this Pro Strength remover, seems to be a lot safer, but it does a really nice job. So once I've let that sit on there, I'll just kind of take a little bit of my scraper and gently scrape as much as I can off. And then it's almost like rubber cement, honestly. And I'm just going nice and slow. I'm not gouging the paint. I'm not putting excessive pressure on here. And then I'm just removing as much as I can. And I'll repeat that process for the entire set. And you're going to go through a bunch of these shop rags as well. So keep plenty handy when you're doing this, because you're going to find out even when you're done, you're still going to have traces of adhesive here and there that you're going to need to clean up, and you're going to want to get a new towel, because after a while all the adhesive will start sticking to this. So again, the longer you can let this sit, the better. It does a nice job. Soak for a little while, scrape for a little while, and then I do a final clean up with this to get rid of the rest of the residue. Now before you install mats back on your ski, after you've done all of this process, make sure you give it a really good wipe down to make sure there's no leftover residue, that the hull itself, the area where you're going to be actually reinstalling and sticking the mats to, is clean, no imperfections, and you don't want any traces of your residue or the actual product that I'm using left on there. So give it a really good wipe down, some soap and water, and a brand new terry cloth towel or a microfiber towel, and then dry it thoroughly before you stick them on. After this, I think I got some friends coming in here. We're gonna get this thing wrapped. So that'll be a fun time. We'll see you in a little bit. The hull is nice and clean and prepped and ready to go for the next step. The next step that we're gonna be doing here is wrapping this. Thankfully, I got some help to do this, as I'm not known for my wrapping skills. This is where I called in my friends. My friend Dean and Scott are here today. Come on in, guys. Let's talk a little bit about what we're going to be doing today, what you're going to be doing, because I'm going to have to leave this one to the professionals.
Today, we're here to talk about vinyl wraps. My company, North Coast Yacht, and Scotty's company, Wrapped by SB, focuses on wrapping jet skis, boats, and other vehicles, including motorcycles, cars, trucks, semis, and anything that you want to change the color to or put some advertisement on the side. Scotty, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So I wanted to talk a little bit about vinyl and kind of get some information, and we can share it with the audience here. What are some of the pros and cons of using vinyl as opposed to paint?
So vinyl over paint, there's a bunch of different stuff. You know, the versatility that we have here, that you know, we don't have to have a paint booth or anything. We don't have to do a bunch of sanding. It's not a whole lot of prep work. You can change the color or anything about your vehicle in, you know, a couple days time.
Awesome. What about colors?
There's a huge spectrum of colors, anywhere from the gloss that you see on the ski now, mattes, metallics, other glosses, chromes, carbon fibers, brushed metals. The possibilities are pretty endless.
Sounds like any application that you have, you can find something unique to put on a vehicle, especially like this wild orange.
Yeah.
What type of warranties are on these? Because I know some of these brighter colors, when they're out in the sun a lot, there could be some fading, or is there UV coating?
Yeah, so most of the vinyls are going to come with some sort of UV coating on top of it, especially the glosses and the satins. They have a laminate over top of it that protects it from most of the UV rays. Obviously, if you have something outside 24/7, 365, it's not going to last as long. But normally it's rated from the manufacturer like 3 to 5 years.
Awesome. What about the adhesive? I know like something like this is going to be, you know, in water a lot more. So how's the adhesive hold up?
So the adhesive holds up great on stuff that stays in the water. So like boats, jet skis, that type of stuff. We'll do a couple extra things on the back end of the install. Basically just sealing all of the exposed edges to help with keeping the water and algae and stuff out.
What type of time frame are you talking about when wrapping a car as opposed to wrapping a jet ski or a boat? Do any of them take longer? Are there any perils between them?
Yeah, I mean, it's just starting off for people. It would probably take a little bit longer than, you know, somebody like me or you that have been doing it for years. Something like a jet ski like this would take me about a day. A car is about 3 to 4 days of actual install time. There's a lot of crossovers, whereas, you know, vehicles you can do in giant panels, you know, do a door, quarter panel, that type of stuff in one piece. Something like this with a lot of extreme curves, since you are taking a flat piece of vinyl and trying to get it to conform with hard edges and stuff like that, we'll use a product called knifeless tape. It is basically a Kevlar filament in a piece of tape that you can lay down in different areas or designs or whatever. You put the vinyl over top of it and pull the filament through, and it cuts it from the backside.
So you don't get any potential damage on the paint or on the existing vehicle, and then you're able to make that absolute perfect line.
Exactly.
Awesome, awesome. And then you and I both got started like well over a decade ago doing vinyl, and we both kind of, you know, went to our own different directions, but now we're working together and we want to try to share some of that knowledge. What other type of tools besides the knifeless tape would someone need in order to start doing their own vinyl wrap?
Yeah, so I mean, I have a lot of specialty tools that I've gathered over the years, but honestly, my pouch is my main stuff, and it's just a lot of basic stuff. Just a squeegee, an X-Acto blade, and honestly, that's really about it. That's all you really need. A heat gun, some isopropyl alcohol for prep. It's all pretty simple stuff.
Right, absolutely. Now, like I said, Scottie and I started off a long time ago, and we absolutely love doing this, and that's why we're working together with Project X on this particular build. And obviously, Scottie with Rep by SB is in here kicking ass, and I'm with North Coast Yacht, and we really do appreciate you guys joining us today. But we're gonna get back to wrapping this ski.
Oh, it was good.
Definitely depending on where you're at.
All right, Scottie, now that you did a hell of a job wrapping this extremely orange jet ski, we want to talk about increasing the longevity of the wrap. So what can we do to help make this so there's not going to be so much damage on it?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the, I'd say one of the only cons with vinyl is it doesn't hold up well to a lot of abuse like a jet ski or a boat or something's gonna get. So we do have one option that we do. It's called paint protection film. It's a clear, thicker film that's self-healing to a certain extent. So, scratches, little dings in that actually bake back out in the sun. So it's a little bit different of a process for install than, say, a vinyl wrap, but it's going to add a great deal of protection to it, so you don't have to go and redo everything we just spent all day on doing today.
Right, so it's like a thin layer of rubber that goes over top.
Yep, so it's clear, see-through. It actually has automotive grade clear coat built into the film itself. So we do this on a lot of higher end cars and brand new cars that don't want to get rock chips or anything like that.
Awesome. Do you have to apply it to everything, or can you do it partially on separate sections? There's going to be a lot of damage.
Yeah, so that's the great thing about it being clear and completely see-through is if you wanted to just do like how we're going to do on the ski is just this center section, you're not going to see the film.
Awesome.
So you don't have to do a full wrap like we did with the orange. You can do just critical areas if you wanted to.
Perfect. So you're not going to spend all of the money doing it, but you can still protect the most pertinent areas.
Exactly.
Awesome. Let's get going on this.
Cool.
This thing looks beautiful. Everything came together seamlessly because of Scottie from Rep by SB, me representing North Coast Yacht, SBT Racing, and of course, motorcycle and power sports news. Stay tuned for the next episode of Project X when you definitely won't miss this thing flying down Lake Erie.